Welcome to Reparenting Radio. I'm Lisa Watson, architect of human transformation. This is a space for leaders, parents, and anyone ready to break old patterns, regulate their nervous system, and show up in their life with clarity and self-trust. If you're ready to change the way you lead, love, and live, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to Reparenting Radio. I am your host, Lisa Watson, and today I want to talk about productivity as a safety strategy. Because oftentimes, if we're not being productive, then there is a piece of us that just simply doesn't feel safe. There's a version of you that doesn't need anything to be piling up or to go wrong to feel pressure. You don't need the market to collapse. You don't need your boss to criticize you. You don't need your bank account to be in the single digits. You don't need an overflowing inbox, and you don't need a messy kitchen. You can be objectively fine, and you can still feel like you're behind. Because somewhere along the way, you installed, or your caregivers, modern society, installed in you an internal scoreboard, and it never turns off. For some people, that scoreboard tracks revenue. It tracks your funnel, your pipeline, engagement, and growth. And for others, it attracts how quickly you respond to emails or texts, or how productive your day looked, or maybe how clean your house is, or how calm your kids were able to stay that day, or how sharp you sounded in a meeting. Basically, how many boxes you could check off your list, or how you compared to other parents, or how you compared to your coworkers, or other founders and entrepreneurs, other humans. And if you're honest, you're tracking yourself constantly. Awareness is the number one step in any sort of healing and growth. And so we have to be honest with ourselves and be willing to step outside of ourselves for a moment to look at how it is we're really thinking, responding, and feeling about things, so that we can recognize the subconscious programming that is running underneath and start rewriting it. Because for most of us, we are tracking ourselves constantly. We wake up and we immediately check something. We check numbers, we check notifications, messages, maybe Slack or school updates, our calendar. We sit in meetings and we evaluate how we're coming across. We leave conversations and we replay them over and over again. And we end our days measuring output, not impact. Output. This is what I call the scoreboard self. High performers feel it strongly. Parents feel it strongly. Employees feel it strongly. Anyone who learned that performance equals safety feels it strongly. Because productivity, for many of us, it stopped being about contribution and it became about self-protection and safety. Now today, I'm going to use more work examples, revenue, goals, teams, because they make this pattern really visible. But this applies just as much at home. If you're managing a household, raising kids, caring for aging parents, navigating a career, or just trying to hold your life together, the mechanism is identical. Different metrics, same nervous system. There are the key performance indicators that your company tracks. And then there are the KPIs that your nervous system tracks. And those sound like, am I doing enough? Did I do that well enough? Are they disappointed in me? Should I be further along in life? Am I behind my peers? Did I miss something? Is everyone else handling this better than I am? Am I moving fast enough? It's subtle, but it's constant. And whether you lead a team or you manage a household, or maybe you just answer to a boss, or you answer only to your own expectations. This internal KPI creates emotional volatility because when your nervous system ties safety to output, every fluctuation feels like a threat. And if you lead a team, your dysregulated urgency is going to show up in that room. It shows up in how quickly you move through meetings, in how fast you shift to the next goal, in the way that you respond to mistakes of your own and your teammates. And if you parent, your tension shows up at the dinner table. It shows up in your tone. And if you're in a partnership, your internal evaluation system shows up in very subtle ways, in like micro expressions on your face, in the pauses that you have, in the way that your body tightens. If you work under someone, then your self-criticism may show up in how small you make yourself, or how defensive you become, or how hard you try to overprove. You may not yell, you may not criticize, but your nervous system is always communicating. And the universal truth is that a dysregulated nervous system creates a dysregulated environment. Not because you're bad at what you do, and not because you're controlling, but because the nervous system is contagious. And I want to give you an example of something that happened just this morning. I'm currently helping a friend of mine for a couple of hours in the morning with her children. She's a single mom, and we're working on helping her get her nervous system regulated. And in order to do that, she needs to be able to have some help in the morning so that her kids have time to feel like they're not being rushed and they can connect with her instead of feeling like they're just being told, hurry up, we got to get ready, this is the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And so what I've been working with this friend, this client of mine with, is to regulate her nervous system. So I'm getting out in front of her and I'm helping her do some of the basic things like getting breakfast ready and the clothes laid out and stuff like that, lunch boxes filled, so that she can be regulated, because the kids are feeding off of her nervous system. And in order for them not to grow up with this programming of nervous system dysregulation constantly, then we need to model behaviors for them of a regulated nervous system. And so the one thing we've been working on is she's no longer allowed to say hurry up to her children in the morning. And I can't even tell you, this morning it was just like a dream. The kids got up late, but because she has been practicing not saying hurry up, and she's getting the extra help that she needs to get things done, the kids immediately tune into wherever she is. If she's dysregulated, there's more dysregulation with them. No one locked themselves in the bathroom today. Nobody cried. Nobody had fits. There were no squabbles. Things just chugged along pretty easily, even though we were a little short on time today. And it was absolutely 100% because they were in sync to her nervous system. And today was one of the first days that she was actually, I've been here for a few weeks, so she's getting used to it. And here it is on Monday, but she was actually regulated today. And I saw an immediate improvement in the kids, that they were regulated. She didn't have to do much that was different other than regulate her own self and then remove some key dysregulating words like hurry up. The scoreboard self, it follows a very predictable loop. First, you set a goal, and then you hit that goal, and you feel relief. You know, maybe something on your to-do list you checked off, right? But then the relief quickly fades away. So you raise the bar, you add something else to your to-do list, and you evaluate yourself again. And then you feel behind again. So it doesn't matter what the goal is. You get the promotion, you find relief. Then you wonder if you're performing well enough in the new role. You clean the house, you feel relief. Then the next target appears. Maybe it's, I need to lose 10 pounds. Oh, I did that. Okay, relief. Then you notice what still needs to change. The pattern's identical. Relief is brief. Evaluation returns. The bar moves. New goal. It's an endless cycle because the scoreboard isn't actually about growth. It's about safety. And relief is not the same thing as feeling safe. Relief happens when a perceived threat temporarily decreases. So if safety is the baseline state, relief is like spike-based. Safety is regulated. Relief is dopamine-driven. Checking something off that list gives you that dopamine hit. Safety is nervous system stability. When you hit a goal, your brain releases reward chemistry, hormones. It feels good and it feels validating, but it's short-lived. And if your system learned early that achievement equals approval, competence equals stability, or performance equals love, that reward loop becomes reinforcing. You start chasing relief instead of building safety. High performers often don't realize that they're anxious. Mothers don't often realize that they're anxious and dysregulated because it looks like drive. It looks like excellence. It looks like ambition. It looks like you're just trying to get your kids out the door. But underneath it is a quiet question. If I stop performing, if things aren't perfect, if I don't do it right, if I'm not grading myself, am I still okay? This is all conditioning that happened as children. We've been put up against grades, performance, how many things we get done, how many things we do right. Those are the things we've been rewarded for. So that's what we believe we have to do to stay safe, meaning safety is connection. Our parents aren't going to be upset at us. No one's going to emotionally detach from us. We aren't going to be shunned. We aren't going to be shamed. We aren't going to be judged. We just got to keep putting the things on the list and checking them off, and then we'll be safe. Let me make this personal for a minute. I'm 57, and I recently relocated to a new place from Mexico to California. And I started building something new here in the city. And there's a voice that occasionally rises up and it says to me that I should be winding down now. I should be thinking about retirement. I should be further along by now. I've been here 3 weeks. Why haven't I accomplished more? 3 weeks. Nothing is wrong. There is no crisis. There's no emergency. I'm not failing. But the internal scoreboard, it doesn't care about context. It cares about measurement. And if I'm not conscious, I can feel behind in a life that I chose. If I allow those subconscious beliefs and that conditioning and that programming to continue to run, then I'm going to be anxious or depressed. You can end up feeling behind in a season that you prayed for. You can feel pressured in a moment that is objectively stable. That's not a business issue. It's a nervous system pattern. Because the scoreboard self, it starts really early. It can look like being a responsible child, being the achiever, being the one who didn't cause problems, being praised for competence, or being criticized for mistakes. How often do we say about our children, oh, she's so good, oh, he's such a good boy? What do we mean by that? They're obedient, they didn't ruffle any feathers, they checked off all the boxes we asked them to check off without complaining. Oh, what a good boy. If competence kept you safe as a child, performance will feel necessary as an adult. Your nervous system is still asking the same question, am I safe? So here's the reparenting move. If you recognize yourself in this loop, don't try to care less. Don't try to be less ambitious or lower your standards, because drive isn't the problem. Attachment to worth through measurement is the problem. So step one, catch the internal KPIs. What are my key performance indicators? What am I bumping my worth up against? And when tension rises, ask, what am I measuring right now? Am I measuring speed, approval, revenue, cleanliness, parenting performance, status? Name it. Because unconscious metrics control behavior. We need to make the unconscious conscious. And then step two, you're going to separate the metric from your identity. So you're going to say to yourself internally, this is a metric. This is not my worth. Revenue fluctuates, cleanliness fluctuates, performance fluctuates, strategy fluctuates. Identity does not need to fluctuate with them. These are the things we're telling ourselves. This is the reprogramming. This is the reparenting. And then step three, regulate yourself before you raise the bar again. When you hit a goal, pause. Let your nervous system register completion. Completion is biological. If you don't let your body feel completion, you'll never feel like enough. You'll just move to the next target faster. And then step four, define enough consciously. If you don't define what enough is, survival will define it for you. And survival has no finish line. What would enough look like today? Not perfect, not optimized, but enough. Enough effort, enough presence, enough progress. Enough will stabilize your system. Perfection destabilizes it. If you build your life from the scoreboard self long enough, here's what's going to happen. You're going to burn out. Or you succeed and you just feel empty. You hit those milestones and you feel nothing. Or you become irritable and you just don't know why. Maybe you stop enjoying what you built because it stopped being creation and it became evaluation. Just another metric. Humans are not designed to live under constant internal audit. You were designed to create. Growth is healthy, but growth and evolving is also uncomfortable. And growth fueled by fear is exhausting. Growth fueled by safety is sustainable. So when your internal pressure rises, whether it's about money, productivity, parenting, leadership, or how quickly you respond to something, or how clean your house is, or how good you look in those jeans, pause and ask yourself, am I building or am I trying to prove that I'm okay? Because you are not your scoreboard. You're the one holding it. And you're allowed to put it down. And you're allowed to put in new definitions for yourself. Get messy. Let go. Allow yourself to simply be without checking off a box today. And see if you can feel safety within the fear, safety within the discomfort. And then you can start to prove to yourself that you don't need KPIs to be safe. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Reparenting Radio. If today's conversation supported you, take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who knows they were made for more than the patterns that they inherited. If you're ready for serious inner work and real transformation, personally or professionally, you can explore my leadership pathways at lisa-watson.com. And if you're raising little ones alongside your own healing, you'll find my children's books at awakentheone.org. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep reparenting the parts of you that are ready to come home to their authenticity.